Hi, everybody. We are joined right now by Michael Kay, the former financial life planner, now life coach, the founder of ChapterX, the system designed to help you find fulfillment in your life when you retire. He has also written two books, The Feel Rich Project and The Business of Life. Both can be found on Amazon.com. Michael, hello. How are you today?
I am great and really thrilled to be here with you today, Chris.
Michael, I've had conversations, probably 5 a week. A new client joins the firm, and we've checked all the boxes, we've dotted all the I's, and we've crossed the T's. And one of the final questions we ask is, what are the three things that you are going to do to give you purpose in your retirement? And I'm sure you're not surprised. The average response is nothing. Do you find that with some of the people in your group that you're working with, that you have to help them find those things for purpose in retirement?
I think that theme really is pretty general. Excuse me.
It is.
And the idea that it's kind of a blank canvas. You go, well, before I retire, I'm a master at what I've done. I've done it for decades, and the next day I am a novice at nothing.
Everything.
I'm a novice at everything, and I've nothing to point the arrow towards. And I think a lot of that is because first of all, we don't spend time thinking about it. We don't spend time imagining. We're terrible ponderers. We're terrible contemplators, and we really need to focus on this. Well, what might be interesting? What aligns with my values? What are my values? What do I really care about? I interviewed a gentleman who talked about. He says, you have the day you are born and the day you die. He goes, what happens in the dash? In the hyphen, in between those dates is what's important.
And it's so interesting. I've made a career out of helping people understand that there is a retirement mountain, is what I call. And for 30, 40 years, we climb this mountain and we climb this mountain. But the truth is, the stats on Mount Everest, the number of people who die on Mount Everest, the majority of them, unfortunately, come to their death on the way down. And when we reach this pinnacle of what is retirement, which is supposed to be this glorious, wonderful, emotionally happy day, it really can be the beginning of the most treacherous financial times in our life, but also from an emotional standpoint. Now, you and I both know the people that we often work with were leaders in business. They had a certain feeling of importance. In many cases, Michael, they were delegating things to other people, working with other people, and having just a self-importance factor that was very high. And all of a sudden now, not only are they challenged with financial hurdles, they don't have an HR department anymore. They don't have somebody helping them with their health insurance. They don't have a 401k they just dump money into every year. But they also lack social interaction. Where did all these people go that I worked with for the last 40 years?
Sure.
How do you help people understand that a social interaction in retirement is critically important, and how to find that next chapter when it comes to dealing and interacting with people? Is that something you often tackle in the ChapterX system?
Sure, absolutely. When you think about retirement, you have to think in terms of, and I really hate the word retirement.
Why?
As rich,
I want to hear about this.
Because what it engenders in people is this ending, and
Finality. Yeah, there's a finality
right,
to it. You're right.
right, instead of a new beginning. Right,
I get
and
it.
so the word so Richard Eisenberg, who is a very well known writer, he's retired from his work as an editor at Next Avenue and other things. He's the unretirement guru.
It should be called The
So
Start.
right, the new start, the new beginning,
The new beginning.
And
There you go. Okay, we agree to agree.
right, so what we see is, okay, so what are the aspects of life that are really important in this next chapter? And you named one of them being the social interaction and how important that is for our well-being. And we're going to assume that that the financial planner has done an number one job, and the financial aspect of it is not really worrisome. The biggest challenge is learning that cash flow, how that works. So, that's number two. Number three is health, right, and purpose. So if we think about social, health, purpose, so what are those things that we need to do to find and create those? In ChapterX, and I hold a monthly Zoom meeting for men in the group who want to come in and chat. They talk about, some have a coffee group of guys, or they'll meet someone at the gym, or they have a that they'll work out with, and they reconnect with old friends, making new friends, having the courage, because it does take courage, because we live in our heads instead of in our hearts, of, oh, how am I going to be judged? Am I going to be rejected? We go back to high school in our thinking, and it is a challenge, but we also get to meet people through things that we do.
Hey guys, I want to tell our listeners today about our most powerful tool, the AIM Secure Retirement Assessment. This is something that I built from the ground up. You answer 9 questions. We throw it into our AIM retirement system. We put your current situation against the 7 biggest retirement risks that people face in America, and it spits out a customized report, gives you the 3 most actionable things that you can do to help supercharge your retirement.
Yeah, and it answers a question of when they can retire and how much they need to do that.
Or if they're already retired, we can see how long their nest egg will last.
That's right.
And it also introduces the idea of mailbox money to people.
Yeah. Like, how much can we put in a protected mailbox money where we don't have to leave too much at risk against the stock market?
Yeah, you can also learn how our CPAs can save you money on a Roth conversion.
Yeah, and that's the DNA of what we are. We were a CPA firm first before we ever thought about helping people retire. The AIM Secure Retirement Assessment Tool, the most powerful tool we have. It's not a stale report. It is customized, 9 questions. I promise you, I guarantee that you will get great information from this. Where do we get it from, Brooke?
Just visit retirementforlife.com, answer 9 simple questions to receive your complimentary assessment today.
9 questions, guaranteed awesomeness. I want to tell you the story of 2 different people. One of these people is me, because in a prior life, I was the CFO of a very large multinational company, and that was my identity for the better part of 15 years. And the second person I'm going to tell you about, who will remain nameless, is a dear friend and client. And let's just say that that person in his working days owned a business that sold widgets. Both of us have a problem, or I had a problem. He still has this problem. So, but it comes along the same path and really ultimately is the same problem. I'm curious what you think about this. So my problem was, after I left the corporate world, it was one of the best days of my life. And in hindsight, it was probably, besides any personal family, I have 3 beautiful children, it was one of the best days of my life because I didn't know my new chapter was going to be so great. However, every time, Michael, I saw a former coworker, anytime I had the opportunity to talk to a former coworker, we would sit there for half an hour with an unhealthy discussion of how much we despised our jobs and what was so wrong about our jobs and how bad it was. And we just couldn't get past that. We couldn't get past work. We were no longer there, but yet we're having these conversations about work, work, work. Now, my friend who sold widgets, who I golf with often, no matter where we are, Michael, because he had a good experience at work, no matter where we go, it could be on the tee box, it could be on the green, it could be while we're getting a beer at the 19th hole. He wants to talk to every single person about widgets. Did you own a widget? Do you want to buy a widget still? I don't work anymore, but tell me about your widget. Does it have this effect? So tell me about getting past our prior life. Do you have to deal with that in ChapterX? Do you see that a lot with people not being able to get past that identity that they had for 40 years?
One of my favorite stories is and this was back in my working days, was a guy who was an oral surgeon, and he had to retire. He had to relinquish his shares based on his agreement with his partners. And we worked for years about what his life was going to look like after he retired. And the day came, the day went, he retired. He had all this list of things that he was a fisherman, he had hobbies, all these things. And 6 months later, he comes in and so how are you? What do you, what's going on? And he told me that he was back working, filling in for doctors who were on vacation, doing oral surgery. And I looked at him. I said, tell me more about that. He goes, I've been a doctor all my life. I don't want to be a mister. And, and this whole idea of who we are. Who were we before we became doctors, attorneys, corporate executives, CPAs, CFPs, veterinarians?
Yeah. What came first?
Who were we? Right. Who were we before?
Right.
And our job is to rediscover that. We were, until we got prodded to, pushed to, nudged into, or jumped into our career or careers, we were someone else. In creating ChapterX, the whole idea was to say, how can I help other people get through this period of time of transition? So what I do, and I can kind of explain, I set this up really as a support system for mostly men going through transition, and I aimed it at men for two reasons. Number one, because men seem to have the greatest difficulty with it, generally speaking, and number two, I've been criticized by some women for not including women in it, but my explanation to them is I'm not a woman, and I don't feel that I can, with honesty, stand in the chair of a woman and say, in the seat of a woman and say, this is how I would guide you. It's a different thought process, even though we're all human, and there are, some women that I know personally who have gone through the same type of critical decision making. I made this decision to make ChapterX aimed at men. And so what I do is, as I said, I hold a monthly Zoom meeting. I write 3 or 4 blog pieces a week. I do a biweekly podcast, and for those who really feel they need help, I offer coaching services. I became a certified life coach while I was preparing for my transition, and to help offer guidance and support. To become part of the ChapterX community costs nothing. You simply go on to the michaelfk.com website, and there's a sign up there, and you get all the stuff.
Let me talk about that for a second.
Sure.
michaelfk.com. I read some of your blog pieces. In our episode, we are talking about the top things that you should do to prepare yourself for retirement outside of the financial things. And when I was looking at your blog, you had a quote, which I'm going to read to you, that is my number one thing. The number one thing that we should prepare for, non-financial thing in retirement. And it goes like this. I call it take in the moment. And this is what you said in your blog, Michael. If you allow life to sweep you from day to day, month to month, year to year unconsciously, perhaps it is time to look back at the velocity, what a great word, velocity of time flying by, and consider how much you might make the time you're given more intentional. Tell me about staying present in your retirement and what that means and how important that is.
Yeah, it's so easy to default to the couch.
Netflix,
right?
whiskey, bourbon, couch. Not good.
Yeah.
Bad formula for
not
retirement.
Right. And whatever it is that's easiest for us, we default to. I ran into someone at the gym, and I'm one of these people that I go to the gym, I do my work, and I get out. It's not my social place. I'll chit chat with someone before or after a yoga class or whatever, but it's, and this person spends hours and hours at the gym, and it's his default. And what I came away with was this was his escape from exploring or from doing other things. And I was having a conversation with my daughter, she loves to exercise, and I told her, I said, the purpose of exercise is so that you can live in life and do things functionally. The point of exercise is not to exercise. It's not to spend your life exercising. It's so that you can go pick up your kid, move a box.
There's a reason for it.
Right, climb up on a stool, on a ladder, or whatever you need to do. And that's the purpose of it, not that you're going to spend your life doing it, because that's not living life.
Michael K., what a great visit it's been today. I'm so impressed with you giving back to others. The most amazing thing, or one of the most amazing things that we learned today about ChapterX, is that this is something that anybody who wants to dip their toe in the water can do so for free. You're not monetizing this. You're just doing it because you have this great experience. You've worked with retirees your entire life, and now you want to give back to them. Congrats to you. Kudos to you. Thank you for joining us. Is there anything that you want to leave us with? I know your website is michaelfkkay.com. Anything else that you want to leave us with that we can bring with us as we leave today's podcast?
I guess the only thing I would say is that, we have the opportunity to live this next chapter in our life with meaning and purpose as we self-define it. No one else gets to define how we find meaning in our life. And rather than defaulting to what's easy or getting towards depression and things like that are really rampant at this age, is to really go out and make your life as amazing as you can, because you deserve it. You've worked your entire life.
Awesome.
So make this part amazing.
Michael K., thank you for that. We appreciate it, and we look forward to catching up again on Chapter X, and if not on Chapter X, in the next chapter of our lives. Thank you very much, Michael. Have a great day.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care. Okay, so that's all for the show. Brandon, I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Okay.
What do you think about this show? What would you say if it was somebody who was listening today? What would you say to them about what we tried to tell them?
Well, I think it's a fun episode where they can learn how to be happy during retirement.
Make yourself happy.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell your mom and dad about this?
I'd say this show gets away from the numbers and definitely a happier side and how to enjoy retirement.
We didn't have any numbers, no charts, no graphs.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a fun episode. I agree with you. It's how to be happy in retirement. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.